Charlie. You're up early.
Yeah, I've been up a long time.
One newspaper article that says permanent fund money being invested in, or it says permanent fund property investment losses or something like that. You know, and they've been buying up land in Anchorage and Juneau or something like that, and they've lost money on it. Not only have they tied up land and other things, but they've lost money doing it.
Of course, I know. Yeah, this is the wrong time to do it in the first place. At the least, our politicians ought to be here in Georgia so they have brains enough to know when to invest. Stupid. It's
like
stupid.
At the bottom of a crash instead of just before the peak.
Yeah, exactly. And nobody's telling them this. I'm the only one that's had any contact with politicians on this thing as far as I've ever been able to find out. And Jack Coggill admits that the idea is good. He's read the book. He approves of what he said. Can't dispute a single thing. But he don't think Alaska is ready for it. Probably because of this real estate speculation. He'd rather not have that brought into the surface, in the open. I've no doubt he had his share in that. See?
How can somebody say they're not ready for the truth or ready for the existing functioning part of society that we're moving? It's not like, should we have it or not? We have it now, but we're moving away from it.
Only politicians can explain that. And so far, he's never been pinned down for an explanation, and he needs to be. He should be.
Any other politicians that know but don't know?
Well, yeah, Steve Frank. You know, I talked to him on the phone, explained his thing. He's a kind of a protege of Bettisworth, he understands this. He's a real estate developer, see. And yes, he thinks it's a good idea. It'd be better for him because when he goes to develop some land, develop and build some buildings and stuff like that, he has to buy the land first. And here's these speculators in there ahead of him, got it all bought for a cheap price, sell it to him for a high price. And then he's got to try to make a profit on top of that. Sometimes he don't do it. He can't pay his labor a decent wage either and do it, see, because the pie is only so big. And if rent takes it all, in other words, if the landlord gets it all, or the speculator, there's nothing left for the labor or
developer
that's got the capital to do the building stuff.
And so all development stops.
So it stops right there, and that's exactly what we've got. That's what causes depression. And it's the only real rational explanation that's ever given for depression. And people constantly look the other way when you mention it. They don't believe that could be it. Because probably they're into it, see, and don't realize that they're doing anything that's detrimental to society. Good, honest people, you know. Just stupid, that's all. No law against that.
Well, in the present society, you can make money by taking land away from your neighbors.
Oh, sure, and it's done. That's
but we got to show people that hurts your neighbors, and the opposite is to develop your labor and capital.
In the long run, it helps. It hurts everybody.
Even the person doing it.
Sure. In the long run, it is defeating to the entire social system.
And the longer it goes, it's not very long run. The effects are fairly quick, hurting the speculator.
Yeah. So, shit, I mean, it's just incredible. Well, rights of all men to the use of land is as clear as their equal rights to breathe the air. This is a right proclaimed by the fact of their existence. I've never seen it before. In fact, I think that little thing right there is what really turned her on Henry George.
That little sentence.
It's clear that the gifts of nature should be equally shared, no matter how long they haven't been. She sees through that, and a lot of people do. And there's evidence of that. I had a little book of little quotations like that, picked out all of Henry George's writings.
Well, there's a lot of pressures and distortions all around people to blind them. But once you know something, you can't take it out of your mind.
I never got the book back. Well, I used to work out of the Carpenters Union with Dan Pegger. He had to live in Knox City, go out way out edge of town on Pegger Road. That's named after him.
Right.
Filed a homestead, built a nice house, raised a nice family there. never did any of the land, just built a nice house and built several houses around it. In fact, he rented space around houses to people, and he made money at it. And most of the land, however, is just still out there vacant. He and his wife busted up. I expect they've divided it now, and maybe going through most of it. But she's 30-ish now and got kids, and Lynn says she's a member of our church down here, and that church I knew to be not at all politically oriented. But she says, Lisa is very politically oriented. She's very much into politics. So Lynn gave me her number, and I called her up last night. I said, your daughter? Yes, we had a little conversation. Yes, she is indeed into politics. She is, he's the mayor, city mayor, Bill Wally's campaign manager. And she's active in the Republican Party. So I was asking her, I said, well, what is your position on abortion? Well, she says, I'm a right to lifer. Now, I says, how does that work when, a law is passed, a woman who isn't really prepared to raise a kid, nevertheless gets pregnant, and the law compels her to raise it. She has to do it by herself, and maybe not as well as it should have been raised, but nevertheless, it gets up to 17 or so, and the law says, sign up for this draft. We're going to have another Vietnam. Now, what interval between that time and the time it was a fetus does the right to life cease? I says, she says, well, there's always the what do you mean? What do you call
Resistor?
Resistors.
Draft resistor?
Well, the exception, they can get an exception on account of their religious beliefs. Well, I said, maybe he don't have religious beliefs. Well, he should have. See, there's his weak point. That's his fault. Because he's 17 years old now. He's old enough to know. And as I talked on, and tried to develop a theory that it might be hard for a lot of people in the ghetto who are born in poverty and crime all around them to have the opportunity to do anything better. Well, there's always work. There's always something people can do. Always. She's never seen it where there wasn't a woman, etc. And so the upshot of the conversation was, this is where the Republican Party is. They honestly believe that there's plenty of jobs out there. All they have to do is take it for less money than the next guy. And then the next guy can take the next job for less money than that one, and so on down.
And we'll all have jobs at no money.
We all got jobs, see? Everybody is happy.
And so we can be working away, and all the wealth goes to someone else.
And this she don't want to see because, and she got busy with the kids and I turned her loose, but she said to call again sometime and we'll talk more about it. And I will, because I'm going to pick her brains, but good, because see, she probably don't realize that the advantages that she has is built on other people's opportunities by dint of her father filing a homestead,
because
which is the only thing that makes sense. I'm not faulting him for it, or her either for that matter, except when she's made acquainted with the thing, I'm going to see how she digests it. Will she, admit that this is the wrong system and we've got to improve on it? Which is, and is she going back to the roots of the Republican Party, which started with one platform, that was civil rights platform, free the slaves?
Civil War.
Two ways you can make slaves. You can overwhelm them physically, and with the support of the government, keep them enslaved as chattel, as property, or you can own all the land, and they'll come to you voluntarily, free, have no other choice.
Because all the other opportunities are cut off.
The monopoly of land is enslaving just as surely as chattel slavery is. It's just more of a Republican way of doing it, that's all.